Greetings. Yes, it's back. Welcome to Life Love Lessons, Series 3 for the Children's Sake. The focus of Series 3 is the future, our future, and the future of our faith, namely our children, our youth, and the lessons they need to empower them to create a life they love and to access the more abundant life Christ promised. Join me, Teacher Hazel, on Mondays at 6 p.m. for Life Love Lessons, Series 3 for the Children's Sake, on my YouTube channel, Abundant Life Mastery at the Call. See you there.
And yes, greetings, hello, howdy do, and welcome to today's session of Life Love Lessons, Series 3 for the Children's Sake, Living the Christ Life. And today we are on Lesson 12 of the series. Lesson 12 is the final lesson of this series. So, as usual, let us begin with an acknowledgement of our Creator and Sustainer. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God sustains us. Wherever we are, God is. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whosoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. I thank God for you, and I thank you for being here with me. And especially now that we've come to the final lesson. So if you've made it through with me from beginning to now, hooray! Thank you very much. And just in case today is your first day, I am Reverend Dr. Teacher Hazel Ann Gibbs de Pisa, better known as Teacher Hazel. I'm a teacher by profession, now retired after 50 years of service to the education system. I'm a teacher by calling. Teaching is my ministry. I'm also a transformational life coach and a life mastery consultant. Principal of the Herman Parish Spiritual Baptist Southland School of Theology of Trinidad and Tobago, established in 1981, and director and co-founder of the Foundation for the Academic Advancement of Spiritual Baptist Youth, a spiritual Baptist solution for a spiritual Baptist problem. And that was established in 1998. So, we are about to begin the lessons. Let me just put everything in place. Yes. And, go back. Right. So, it's lesson 12. Dare to dream. Yes, dare to dream. We've gone through the grounding and the growing and the learning and the loving and the forgiving. Yes, and we learned about the laws and the spiritual faculties. Yes, and today we're going to dare to dream. Why dare to dream? Because too many of our children are forced to bury their dreams, to abandon their dreams. And very often they forget how to dream. And this is so unfair because dreaming is natural to children. They are in touch with their imagination, that super sense that is in danger of extinction in our present day society. So let's dare to dream. It is not wasting time. In fact, dreaming is time well spent. So, Life Love Lessons for the Children's Sake, Living the Christ Life, is intended to encourage you, for the children's sake, to empower our children to access the more abundant life Christ promised, to actuate them to live a life they love and love the life they live, and to maintain the authenticity of the spiritual Baptist Christian faith. Jesus said in the Gospel of John, chapter 10, verse 10, I am come that they might have life and have it more abundantly. And this series, we started with the women of faith, and then we went to the men, and this series has focused on the children, what we can do for the children's sake so that they will live an abundant life and love the life they live. And of course, that scripture verse is the basis on which the call, the Claiming Abundant Living line, my coaching, teaching, consultancy service, is built and fashioned. Hence the name of my YouTube channel, Abundant Life Mastery at the Call. Yes, it's all connected. And today, being the last lesson of this series, let me invite you to subscribe to my YouTube channel so you will be informed of the future programs. Because, of course, there's going to be series 4. Yes, and you want to know when it's starting and to be there for it. So, if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll get all the information in time for what's happening. And of course, you can revisit past lessons and even past series that you may not have experienced. All right? So, let's begin. Lesson 12, Dare to Dream. Let me share with you an old poem to bring back memories to those of us who went to school a long time ago, when poetry was an integral part of schooling. Let me jog your memory. In the heart of a seed buried deep, so deep, a dear little plant lay fast asleep. Wake, said the sunshine, and creep to the light. Wake, said the voice of the raindrops bright. The little plant heard, and it rose to see what the wonderful outside world might be. And that poem was written by C.A.L.L to help teach her children about the life of the plant. And yes, if the seed does not dream, where would we get trees? When the dream remains alive, the seed bursts the ground and grows toward the sunlight and the rain. Yes, just as it says in the poem. And when our children have dreams, and those dreams are encouraged and kept alive, they grow and develop their skills and their talents. You know, Michael Beckwith teaches that there is an innate beauty, an innate joy, an innate intelligence, an innate power, and an innate abundance within you. That is your very life and being. And it is a gift of the Spirit of grace. And of course, you remember that everything is created twice. First in the thought realm, the spirit, the dream world, and then it materializes in the physical world. So you see why we need to dream? Because if we never dreamt about it, if we never thought about it, then we can't produce it. All right? And you get much more of that in the lessons that went before. Yes? So the seed has a little plant inside of it. And the seed keeps the dream going. And the plant bursts the earth to come to the sunlight and the rain to see what the wonderful outside world might be. Yes? And having looked at the plant, let us now consider the animal kingdom. So, we all admire the beauty of the butterfly. Yes, they are so beautiful. But before that beauty unfolds, there is a growth process, which includes the pupa stage or the chrysalis stage. So after reaching to its full size, the caterpillar forms a protective casing around itself, as you can see in the picture. Pretty little caterpillar. And then here he is all wrapped up in a chrysalis. And inside this casing, the caterpillar undergoes a remarkable transformation known as metamorphosis, where its body is restructured to become a butterfly. Think what would happen if the caterpillar gets despondent and stops dreaming of coming out of the casing. If the caterpillar stops dreaming, we would miss out on the beauty of the butterfly. So we need to dream, and we have to dare to dream, because we have come through a session of being beaten for our dreams, having our dreams beaten out of us, telling us, what are you dreaming about? You're wasting time. Hmm? Do you remember any of your childhood dreams? Come on. Is that a test for you? I'm sure you had childhood dreams. Some of them, perhaps all of them, you may have abandoned. Why? Because somebody said you like to daydream too much, that you're wasting time, that you'll never amount to anything. Or somebody said that you're dreaming things that can't happen. Hmm? Did you ever see anybody in our family being a pilot and flying planes? Why are you dreaming about being a pilot? Hmm? You want to be a ballerina, to go dancing on stages and have all of this fun and fame? Nobody from among us ever did that. Well, that's why God gave us dreams. Because when we dream, we look forward to something greater. And remember, if we don't have the image in the dream, then we can't bring it into material life, right? Have you materialized any of your dreams? I hope you have at least some of them. Will you use your imagination and revisit one of your dreams? Think about one that you really, really loved and that you wish you had done. And will you dare to dream again? Yes, it's not too late to dream. It's not too late to dream at all. So, just as the caterpillar goes through the pupa stage and becomes a beautiful butterfly, dare to dream and become your own butterfly. And of course, when you dare to dream, the world opens up for you. Remember, there's some things that we learned along the way in the lessons, that your thoughts create your world. Yes? So you need to think about the beauty and the love. You need to dream. Yes, because your thoughts create your world. So when you align your thoughts with your dreams, so if you're dreaming of something, you want to align your thoughts with it. When you align your thoughts with your dreams, when you reorient your thinking to suit what you are going after, then you choose your legacy. So it's not happening by chance because you are choosing your legacy. You are choosing your destiny because how you think directly affects how you live. We have learned about the power of thought, and we know that where we focus our thoughts, that's the kind of energy we're going to bring forward, and that vibration will attract like vibration. And therefore, we want to choose our life story by design and not by default. You see, if you don't focus, then whatever comes, comes. But if you know that what you focus on, the vibration will attract like vibration, then you can choose your life story by design and not by default. It mustn't just happen so. It must be what you want to happen. Yes? So your dream designs your life. Or more importantly, how you treat your dreams. Because if you follow your dreams, then you're going to be going in the direction that you want to go. But if you dump them, then, anything, anyhow. No, no, no. Dare to dream. Don't let anybody stop you from dreaming. So let us consider another little known truth about our magnificent selves that were made in the image of God. Do you know that we have three types of intelligence? Long ago, they used to talk about intellectual intelligence, your IQ, right? The intellectual quotient. And that is that is the serial processing of the brain, and that's just left brain action. Yes. So your perception is shaped by your experience and your learning and your teaching. Okay. And that is the intellectual aspect of the brain. And that was all that mattered at one point in time in academia. And then they recognized that there is another intelligence, which is emotional intelligence. And that is the right brain function where you do parallel processing, right? And Timothy, in 2 Timothy 1:7, we know that God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind, so that we can control our emotions and we can have a high EQ, emotional quotient, right? So we have intellectual intelligence, we also have emotional intelligence. And that became a buzzword at a certain point in time in education circles. And then finally, they recognized that we also have spiritual intelligence, and therefore they can find a SQ, or a spiritual quotient. And I want you to look at the picture, the diagram there, and recognize that the spiritual intelligence is the synchronous processing of the whole brain. So the intellect is on the left and the emotion is on the right, but the spiritual intelligence involves the entire brain. And you know that those of long ago who kept their childlike connection to the spirit, and who lived with the beauty of their imagination and their spiritual senses, they knew a lot of things that people are now learning. But they didn't want to take it from them because they didn't go to university and all those things, you know. They didn't have a book where it was all written down. They didn't have a computer on which to put it. But they are learning now, the scientists and the physicists and all of them are learning and acknowledging our spiritual intelligence. And therefore, you have an IQ, an EQ, and an SQ. Yes? And why do you think the spiritual intelligence is the one that envelops the whole brain? Why? Of course, you know, because we are first spiritual beings. Yes, we are spiritual beings, sojourning in physical form, having a human experience. So we need the intellect, it has its work to do, and we need the emotion, it has its work to do, but we can't do without the spiritual. Yes? And as Mary Morrissey says, do what you can with what you have from where you are, knowing that you have more than you think. You see, because we get so hooked on the IQ and, well, eventually the EQ, that we forget that there is an SQ. Yes. So that you can do what you can with what you have from where you are, knowing that you have more than you think, that that's not all that there is to you. Yes? Because you are a spiritual being having a human experience. And so there are the connecting links to the divine spirit. Yes, our creator. Remember, we started off by saying that he made us in his own image and that he's a spirit, and therefore we are spiritual beings, right? So you may have to go back and do some homework, all right? Yes, some revision. So Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ which strengtheneth me. And we have proof of that. Yes? If it was not that the Lord was on our side, how would we have made it to today? Yes, we must remember that spiritual connection. We must keep the spiritual connection with the divine spirit, the creator spirit who made us and who sustains us. Because through him, we can do all things. Remember the universal laws? Yes, he prepared everything for us, right? Raymond Hollowell says we have the power. For the universal power of mind is endowed within each and every one of us. Yes, because we are spiritual beings, made in the image of the eternal spirit, right? So that we have that power within us. But we have to keep the connection, you know. If you hang up the phone, you can't talk on it, right? If you switch off the light, the switch, turn off the switch, you won't see the light. Okay, so we have to keep the connecting links. And James McNeill says, there is a knowing that transcends learning. So you see, it all comes together. There is a knowing that transcends learning. And Beckwith spoke of it as an innate intelligence, right? The gift of the grace of God. Yes? So we want to keep the connecting links. And it is important that when we consider that we are focusing on the children, that we encourage them. Because when they begin their journey here on earth, they are in connection with the divine spirit. But we who have grown and grown away from the divine spirit, we break their spirit by the things we say to them. All right, so you remember all the self-fulfilling prophecies and all the things that we've gone through about their stages of growth, etc. Right? So it is our duty and our responsibility to ensure that they keep their connection with the divine spirit, because it is through him that they can do all things. And remember, we're talking about daring to dream. And the dream begins in the spirit realm. And then it materializes in the physical realm. Yes? And that takes us back to one of the truths that we learned along the way, that where attention goes, energy flows, right? Where your focus goes, your energy flows. Yes? And the vibration will attract like vibration. So you remember that. If you focus on the ugly, then you'll attract ugly things. If you focus on anger and hatred, then you'll attract more of that to you, right? Because vibration attracts like vibration. Yes? So, when you know the universal laws and when you know about your spiritual senses, then you know, and you know the power of your thought, then you know that to change your results, you simply change your focus. Yes. To change your results, you have to change your focus. It's as straightforward and as simple as that. You remember when we looked at perception, and Wayne Dyer said, change the way you see things, and the things you see change. And we saw that in actual fact. Yes? So, to change your results, you change your focus. And therefore, if we encourage the children to focus on the right way, to put their attention in the right direction, their energy will flow that way. And the vibration will be of the higher level, and therefore the results will be what we want them to be. So it's as simple as changing your focus to change your results. Yes? Where attention goes, energy flows. Or where your focus goes, your energy flows. Yes? All right. So, since we know that, we're going to encourage them to dream big. Whatever is big for you, whether it's being a mountain climber or whether it's having a pretty little cottage at the edge of a lake, or whether it's being a ballerina, dancing, or even if you want a bicycle, if that's your dream. But you are free to dream, and you need to dream big. And the dreams that you dare to dream really do come through. Yes. And the idea is that we want the children to grow knowing this, not to wait until they get big and they're set in their ways, their negative ways, and then to learn that they could have had a different life if they had positive thoughts and if they held on to their dreams, right? So we want to teach them from small so that they will walk that way. Remember, train up a child in the way he should go so that it becomes part of them. It's not something that they have to learn when they have already grown up. We don't want to put them through that. So, for the children's sake, we want them to be encouraged to dream and to dream big. You know, it's like there's a saying, reach for the stars and you may end up on the clouds, but you still reached, right? If you weren't reaching for the stars, you wouldn't reach by the clouds, right? So remember that. Dream big. And we go back to the universal laws. Pure potentiality with God, all things are possible. If we dare to dream, we can access the law because with God, all things are possible. The law, the universal law of pure potentiality, right? I am come that they might have life and that they might have it more abundantly. The access is there. Let us teach the children to access. If we encourage the young ones to keep dreaming, knowing that there is a law of sufficiency, there is a law of pure potentiality, there are universal laws that govern the life that we live. So instead of frightening their dreams away and criticizing and condemning their dreams, let us dare them to dream. Keep them dreaming so that they will have something to look forward to, something to grow towards. The plant in the little seed was growing towards coming up from under the earth to see the sunshine and the rain. Yes? The caterpillar was growing towards becoming a butterfly. We have to give them room that they will grow towards greatness because it's there for them. So our duty is to encourage them to live their dream, whatever that dream may be. Our children need to be taught because they learn from teaching and they learn from experience. So we have to teach them to know that they have greatness in them. No matter how weird their dream may seem to you. And we have several examples of dreams here. Yes? It doesn't matter. Because when they have a dream and when they know that they can aspire to greatness, because the greatness is already there, it's innate, it is part of our spiritual DNA. But when we don't know, or when they are not told, and when they are not encouraged, then they miss the boat. So let us not have our children going through all that we would have had to go through before we came to the knowledge that life is worth living and the world is a beautiful place prepared for us by the one who created us. And remember, everything he did, he made sure it was good. Yes? So we want to encourage our children, to teach them from small that they have greatness in them, that they are spiritual beings having a human experience, that there is more to life than the physical, that even in terms of their intelligence, that they have intellectual intelligence and emotional intelligence and spiritual intelligence. So many people have a low emotional quotient because they have not understood the true nature of this human being, that we are first spiritual beings and not just the physical frame that we make so much fuss about, and that the things that are physical had to be in the spirit realm before they became physical. You see, it's the learning process. And that is what the series was about, bringing these things forward so that we, the adults, can make it better for the children. Teach them that they have greatness in them. Encourage them to live their dreams to the extent that we can bring them to the point where they will own their greatness and they will say, "We dare to dream," because they understand the possibilities are endless. And they will come to that understanding of the power of their thoughts. So they will recognize, if we think, we can. We can. And if we think we can't, we can't. So whether we think we can or we think we can't, we are right. Because our thoughts create our world. And therefore, if we insist on thinking that we can't do this and we can't do that and we can't this and we can't that, then we can't. And therefore, we won't. Right? We won't. Because we think we can't. So we won't. But if we think we can, if we can get them to the point where they dare to dream, where they recognize the power of their thought, where they recognize the universal laws and the spiritual faculties that they have, that it's not just eye, ears, nose, and mouth and touch, that there's so much more that has been given to us as the children of God, that we choose our destiny. We can either choose it by design, determining this is what we want, or we choose it by default, by not even bothering about what we want. So whatever comes, we take. Yes, but it's still our choice. You see, we breathe, and as long as we are breathing, and we need to recognize that we don't breathe ourselves, right? The one who created us is the one who keeps us breathing. And as long as you're breathing at the beginning of the day and you are breathing at the end of the day, you will have spent a day. And you will have chosen the direction of that day. So even if you choose to lie in bed all day, cover up your head, don't see the light, don't do anything, that is a choice for the day. So if at the end of the day you're hungry because you didn't eat, because you were sleeping all the time and you were lying down there and you decided you're not getting up, not even to go to the kitchen to get a cup of tea, that was by choice. And our children need to learn that they choose. Saying no is a choice, saying yes is a choice. God gave us freedom of choice when He made us. And that's why Adam and Eve were able to make a mess of things, because they had freedom of choice and they chose to walk the other way instead of the way that God directed them to walk. But you see, He doesn't force us. He'll guide us. He'll direct us. He'll point it out to us. If we look like if we can't see, He will show us, bring it up in our face. But we still have to make the choice, because it is our choice that determines the direction of our life. And I know some people would be saying, but there's so many things that we can't choose whether we want to do this, but something is blocking and that. Yes. But even so, how many people were able to overcome all the obstacles? Hmm? Yes. Many people have overcome many obstacles, some of them apparently insurmountable, but because they think they can, and they do. But if we sit down and we think we can't, then we can't. So we don't. And that's why if we think we can or we think we can't, we're right. Because it's our choice. So for the children's sake, let us not deny them. Living abundantly is their legacy. We have to let them know that, and we have to guide them in that direction. That loving life is their destiny. But you see, it all depends on us. Because when they come into the world, they come dependent on those who came before them. So we have a responsibility. We have to encourage them to dream, not beat the dreams out of them. We have to teach them what life is really all about. We have to bring them to the point of understanding who they really are. Because if you think that you're just a physical being, it's just about eating and drinking and whatever else, working and fighting and fetting and whatever, and at the end of it, that's the end of it. You know, they used to say a long time, when you're dead, you're done. Mm-hmm. But we know that our spirit, which is our true self, lives on. Not with a human experience continuing, because we would have gone through that the spirit is eternal, and there's a point which we call birth when the spirit takes on humanity, and there's a point which we call death when the spirit takes off humanity, but the spirit continues being spirit. So there's more to life than what you eat and what you drink. We dare to dream. We want to bring our children to the point where they will be willing to dream, and they will hold on to their dreams, and they will know the power that they have within them. So if they think they can, they will. If they think they can't, they won't. But we have to give them that because they're depending on us. And of course, it all comes down to love. Remember, love is the law, and the law is love. Yes? Because if we love them, we'll treat them right, we'll teach them right, we'll guide them right. So it all comes down to love. And we need to remember and to teach them that our limitations are created by our thoughts, our beliefs, and our perceptions. Our limitations are created by our thoughts, our beliefs, and our perceptions. And you remember that your perception is your reality. Yes? And their future depends on our teaching and on the experiences that we make available for them. Their future depends on that. We went through all the aspects of the poem when children live with what they learn, because they're learning. And they're learning from teaching, but they're also learning from experience, from what they see around them, what they hear, what they are told. So let us understand our responsibility. It is a sad thing that so many of our children are going astray. And I don't blame them. I blame the elders who have responsibility for them. You see, when a trickle starts, it's just a trickle. And if we leave it and let it be, it will become a stream. And if we leave it and let it be, it will grow into a river. And then it will become a flood and a sea. So that when we allow the children to go on the wrong path, when we don't teach them the right, then we complain about they doing this and how they bad and how they... But they weren't always like that. They became that way because of the teaching and the experiences that they've been exposed to. That's how they get to that point. And if they're growing without love and without care and without compassion, then what do we expect? You know, the story is told of the little boy who learned to curse, to use what we call obscene language. And when he started, he was just about a little year and a half, on the ground, nice little toddler thing. And he used a curse word. And everybody, whoa, where he learned that? And he hear that? And he realized that it caused excitement when he said it. So whenever he wants some excitement, he says it. And boy, hear what he say. And he is not taught that that is not something that he should be indulging in. And when the pastor or the bishop or, some person of of that degree comes home, or your boss or whoever, and he sees an audience, what do you think he'll do? He will do his performance because he wants to be noticed. He's looking for excitement. So he drops the curse word in the middle of the conversation. And then what do? You're scrambling him that time. You want to beat him. You're quarreling with him. And you're telling him, you don't know why you're doing that and why he's saying that. And because you're embarrassed. But who caused that? He didn't cause it. If he was told that is not something for polite conversation, that is not something that you should be saying, he would know not to say. But we grin and skin. He's small, man. He's small. It's all right. He's small. Right. So he's small. So he do whatever. And as he's growing, being accustomed to doing whatever, the trickle turns into a stream, and the stream turns into a river, and the river runs to the sea, and it spreads out in a flood. We have a responsibility to our children. And that is why this series was done for our children's sake. So at this point, we've come to the end of today's lesson. And as usual, I would ask if you have any comments or questions, you can put them in the chat and I will see them and I will respond to them. And so I thank you for being with me. I thank you for sharing your time with me. I hope you enjoyed the session and the series as much as I enjoyed sharing with you. This is the last lesson of Series 3. I invite you to subscribe to the channel and remember to visit and to share it with a friend. Don't keep the good news to yourself. We have to get the word out. So Series 4 will begin. And when it begins, if you are subscribing to the channel, you'll get all the information and you'll know exactly when it begins and how it's going and what it is about. And so I want to say God bless you and keep you, make his face to shine upon you and grant you his peace. And let me look in the chat and see if there's anything there. And no, I'm not seeing any comments or questions in the chat. So, God bless you. Love always. Bye-bye. See you soon in Series 4 of Life, Love, Lessons. Because there are many more lessons to learn from life and love. God bless you. Until we meet again. Bye-bye. Thank you once again.